What's up, guys? My name is Travis Nowak. I race 250B. I have a 250 SXF at home. I'm 23 years old. I'm 5'11", and I weigh 180 pounds. For my overall rankings, I have the Honda as first, the Yamaha as second, the KTM as third, and the Kawasaki as fourth. For me personally, with the Honda, I like more of a plush suspension setting. So with that bike, I felt like I could get really comfortable really quickly and not have to adjust too many things. I really liked how the bike handled. The turning was really good for me. The power was smooth, very linear. It didn't have any surprises on the bottom end, and you could seem to rev it to the moon. The Yamaha, one thing that I liked about it was it had very nice suspension too, and it had a good feeling within the handlebar setup. I liked how the bars are positioned. I really liked the lever setup, and it just had some good bite off the bottom end. It really hits hard when you need it to, which can be a positive or a negative, whichever way you take it. But for me, I liked a good hit off the bottom. The problems that I have with the Yamaha is I didn't necessarily enjoy the cable clutch. As a person that just likes to have a hydraulic clutch going and switching between the bikes and having a cable, I wasn't too favorable of it. But other than that, I think the bike had some good power despite lacking a little bit on the top end. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more on the top. For the KTM, by me having a KTM, this came as a surprise to me that I didn't enjoy as much. I think that it did very well in the off-road section of it, but the suspension just didn't feel right to me. It seemed a little wide, and I would have liked to have more of a linear power band like the Honda had. I feel like the KTM had really hard hit, and it made it not as easily rideable for being a 450 and someone that's just constantly been riding 250s for the past 2-3 years. So that wasn't as nice, but yeah, it was just too stiff for me. I did like that it had a little bit more rake, so it felt very stable in the top end with the triple clamps switching out, and the FMF pipe definitely opened up so that you could get going on the straightaways. But when it came to the turning, I felt like I was really struggling to get it to go where I wanted to, where I didn't have as much of a problem on the Honda and Yamaha. In fourth place, I had the Kawasaki. For some reason, going between the different bikes, whenever I hopped on the Kawasaki, I just couldn't get that comfortable with it. I felt like that type of hydraulic clutch compared to the other ones was very different for me, and I would have liked to have seen a little bit easier pull, maybe a little bit more reaction out of the clutch, and it not having the Recluse in it, I feel like put it at a disadvantage. Maybe if it had the Recluse, like the Honda and the KTM, it would have been higher on my list. I wasn't too big of a fan of the bar setup. I am just more of like running stock bars or more a 999 or some sort of a Renthal bend like that. I wasn't too big of a fan of how these bars were set up. The suspension was good once we got it dialed in, but at the beginning of the day, it took me a little bit of time to try to figure out what way I wanted to go with it, because it just seemed like it was on opposite ends of the spectrum, and I just would like to have had that middle ground. It had good power, good linear power, but I feel like that one also had a little too much for what I personally like. I like more of a lower gear, just revving it out, and this bike you had to ride in such a higher gear, and just something that I'm not used to. And I feel like the Honda, Yamaha, and KTM just had a little bit more of that curve that I was looking for. So after everything, I ranked the bikes Honda first, Yamaha second, KTM third, and Kawasaki fourth. And I feel like that's coming from a B rider standpoint, because we're not obviously going as quick as the Pro 2 riders, maybe some of us are, but for me personally, I felt the most comfortable on the Honda. It's very easy to get used to, and despite being a little bit heavy, all the components and the suspension and the motor just work together like I would have wanted to.
If you liked what you saw in this video, come check us out over at dirtbiketest.com on the webs. We have bike tests, product tests, a lot of fresh dirt, and you can even support us by clicking through our links. Hopefully we'll see you out in the trail.